Hey, everyone. Back on again 2 nights in a row here at Sawmill Charlie's Bee Farm. And Bob, he's down there in Mississippi. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in here. See if I can get in here and pin it. There it is. And hopefully Bob's had a good day today, selling a lot of acatabs and pens and mite wash jars and all that good stuff. Hey, Lee, Randy, and uh, Brian. And Brian, he's busy making stuff for holiday markets. There's Chris, the bug man. Haven't seen him for a while. And all that. I like to have a good report on Bob here. Maybe he'll drop in and give us that report. And Tracy. So, been another nice day here in Maryland. The weather was pretty decent at around about 55, 60 degrees here. Bees weren't really flying that much. And I pretty much put them to bed. I've got the hives are all filled up with sugar water, and I actually put the coroplast covers in. Hey, Stone River Bees, good to see you. Hey, Ed. And there's Todd out in California. And anyway, put them in. It's gotten down. We had a frost yesterday morning, first frost of the year, good killing frost. So it got down around 32, something like that. And hey, Ziggy, Shane. And so it's been pretty cool and a little bit of windy here a couple days ago, not so much today. And so we got Ben. Hey, welcome. Everybody's coming in. I been trying to empty my bottling tank. I finally got that done today. So I got to do a little cleaning on the sidewalls where the what do you call it, pollen kind of sticks to the sidewalls, the heated sidewalls. Danette, I think that's how you pronounce it. And hey, Jack. So I got to get that cleaned up and then go ahead and refill it with my this year's crop of honey. There's Mr. Bob. How about a report, Bob? Come on in if you can. And all that. But that's what I've been doing. The honey I pulled out of the hive there tonight, or not the hive, but the bottling tank, it had some foam and stuff. I'll have to kind of clean that stuff. Hey, Joey. And clean that off to some of the quart jars that I had poured it into. And then it'll be saleable. And honey sales were good for me today. I think I sold something like 8, maybe 10 pounds of honey today. So it's been quite nice. Things have been quite good for the last several weeks. And last week I was off and went down to Virginia, had a really nice time with friends, and we went to different shows as far as old-timey bluegrass and pre-bluegrass music and dancing and clogging, and also to a Blue Ridge Heritage Festival where they showed they had different music tents, and they also had different things they used to do. They had some mules there that would jump the fences, coon dog mules and coon dogs, and they had races with them and all that kind of stuff. Randy wants to know if does the honey get darker as time. I find it does. This year I got really light honey, And now I do have a Max Ant bottling tank, which has a water jacketed and two French bulldog candles. Was that Brian? But it does over time. But I try to keep my bottling tank just enough, warm enough where it flows good and it doesn't crystallize. So it keeps that color disc change to a minimum and all that. But that's what I'm doing now. Like I say, right at the top of that tank, um, I guess it's the pollen kind of floats to the top and it sticks to the wall. So I'm gonna try to scrape that off before I pour the new batch in. But I do enjoy my bottling tank. Works very well. I can bottle up 20 pounds in about 5 minutes. Hey, Lisa, good to see you. So, but that's what I've been doing, and I plan on doing some OA vapor. Yeah, that's what I do, Lee. Mine is between about 89 degrees to about 90, 98, something like that. And I keep it pretty much set at that temperature continuously. I don't turn it on and off or anything like that. I'm pretty much bottling on a weekly basis, if not twice a week. Um, I've been here in the last several months. I've been selling anywhere from 15 to 20 pounds of honey a week, which is for me, it's pretty decent as far as income and all that. And so that's what we're doing. And then, like I said, here it's November now. As soon as it gets a little bit cooler, I was hoping maybe it would be a little bit cooler this weekend. I want to start doing some OA vaporization of the hives, like about every other week, once a week, every other week, about twice a month. I find that keeps the mite loads down to a very minimum. Do that all the way through until the 1st of March. And last year they did a test for the National Honeybee Survey, and I had a zero point 0.2 mite infestation, which was less than what they uh, recommend as far as the minimum, as they recommend 1% infestation is good. I was below that, which is even better. And all. I did hear on one of my meetings that the Bee Informed Partnership beekeeping organization, which actually is based here in Maryland, is no more. I might go here to the website and check that all out. Not sure. I still see the website is up and running. But anyway, I heard that. Whether it's actually true or not or accurate, I'm not sure. Hey, James, good to see you tonight. We had a great talk last night. That's what I heard. One of my the liaison people that went to the Maryland State beekeepers board meeting. I'll have to actually find that out a little more details about that, but I'm not sure. I'm not positive. I'll say that. I don't want to continue to spread any rumors as far as misinformation and all. So James there, he was on last night. His bees are all in the barn. Actually, I watched one of his little short videos today using his John Deere front end loader tractor, bringing in the small two-way pallets. Hey, Rex. And all that. But that's what I'm going to be doing as far as, mite treatments in the future. Hopefully within the next week, I'll be hitting these girls with some OA. And all. I would have done that probably earlier this week if I had time. And I think also remember, everybody, I'm not sure depending on what state I guess you're actually in, we'll be setting our clocks back this coming Saturday night. Well, Shane's got an interesting question here. Keeping the honey stored outdoors, outdoor building is not heated, and the thawing and freezing of our winters, would it degrade the honey or spoil it? It wouldn't spoil. Actually, in order to keep honey from crystallization, you can actually freeze the honey and make it hard as a rock, and actually keeps it stable. And then when you thaw it out, it goes right back to liquid. I've never tried it myself, but that's what's been told by other folks. And as far as thawing and freezing, and my opinion would be the fact, as long as it would be like, if you freeze it, it's not going to crystallize, then it thaws back out, it goes back to liquid. I don't think that's really going to be. Okay, James says freezing it is fine, but thawing it and freezing multiple times might not be good for your honey. So let me see if I can bring that up. So there's your answer there, Shane. If anything, put it in a freezer and just keep it frozen. Or like myself, I try to keep it warm, but then I have crystallization problems. That's why I have hey, Rodney. That's why I have a 25-gallon bottling tank. It's more for storage, keep the thing from crystallization. I also have a refrigerator that I converted into a hot box. I can keep 3 buckets in there. I can keep 5 buckets in my bottling tank. So, and then I keep rotating my buckets. Okay, Shane, I keep rotating my buckets from just sitting in the room where crystallization can occur. Try to get it into my hot box, and 3 of them will stay in there for maybe a month, and I'll keep filling my bottling tank up about once every 3 to 4 weeks with a 5-gallon bucket. Yeah, just the thought, just because it was more room. Yeah, I know it gets hard to, like you say, try to store and try to keep things going. I know in the past I've had to put an old canning pot that my mother had, and we would have to, the honey would crystallize. I'd have to put it in my 5-gallon buckets in a water bath, monitor the temperature of the honey, and of course the water bath was on the bottom of the bucket, and it had like a grid system in the bottom, so the water can go all the way around the bottom of the bucket and around its sides, which is evenly heated. and then I would sit there and stir it with a big wooden spoon, and then it would decrystallize. It would probably take, depending on how bad it was, let's say no more than an hour, but you had to be on top of it. I always like to stir my honey about every 10 minutes and all, but I wanted to get away from all that extra work. Hey, Mark, good to see you. Rolling almost home. All right, well, it's cool. Glad that you're on your way in the big truck. It was enjoyable talking to you last night while you were in the truck stop. But anyway, that's why I bought the bottling tank and a big one, the medium, that next to the smallest one, to keep as much honey in there as possible. And it has worked out well. I got the no drip valve, or the one drip valve, most people call it, and use that, and that is well worth it. And being able to bottle your honey at a moment's notice has been a very nice thing to be able to do. And then all you have to do is label your stuff and you're ready to roll. Well, the link's up. Come on in. I'm getting tired of talking by myself, or I feel like I'm talking to myself to a certain extent. I know everybody's listening in and all, and got some good questions there. Hope anybody else has some questions and all. I just got off of another chat. I don't know. There was somebody on that chat several weeks ago that was reading some, I won't say it's a scientific report, but it was by a master beekeeper. Somebody wrote something about putting bananas in your hives to give give your bees potassium so their wing muscles will work better and keep the hive warm, which I thought that was quite, I don't know. I just don't agree with all that stuff. And of course, the group in there is a lot of new beekeepers, 1 to 2 year beekeepers. And it's like, if you're going to feed your hives, feed them with sugar water and get them fed up before winter hits. That way you don't have starvation problems unless it's getting close to February. Then I always... Lee, are you sick? That's what it said. Looks like to me. Lisa, are we talking about the banana thing? Randy, I'll agree with you 100%. Here's Bob. Yay!
Hey, hold on. I got band playing. Hold on. Mute me for a second.
All right. But Lisa, that's BS. It's just like Randy says. I think it's BS. So Lee's not feeling under the weather. That's sorry to hear that. Working too much. All right, we got Mr.
All right, so
Bob back.
restaurant. Hold on, another speaker. Man, they got music playing everywhere. So today was a really eventful day, and I met some interesting people. And there's a chance that in the next few weeks, might be. Charlie, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I got you on full view.
All right, so there's a chance that we might have a one Randy Oliver on our live stream coming up. So, and some people from the ABF. So it will be an interesting night if that can come to fruition.
So you say Randy Oliver, you say?
Yes, it's a good possibility. We'll say that. It's not definite for sure, but
yeah, that's cool.
But he's on the director of the ABF, and one of the other directors of the ABF was sitting right next to me, so we talked all day long. And so they're interested. Well, he's interested in coming on the stream and bringing Randy with him if he can get Randy to come. So it's one of those things, you know, we have to see what happens. But
well, I mean,
it was
I do know a friend of mine. He is it American Beekeeper Federation? Okay, that's the one that kind of hops around, doesn't it?
Yeah, so the ABF is the American Beekeepers Federation, which is kind of almost not really like a lobby group, but they're trying to push towards changing of rules and regulations concerning beekeepers and stuff like that in the States. So a lot of it is commercially oriented, but also for smaller beekeepers, right? So we all have to follow the same rules, and it doesn't matter if you're commercial or if you're a hobbyist or sideliner. And, you know, facts are facts that, you know, with YouTube coming up, not so many people are joining clubs and stuff like that. So it's really hurting these groups that are trying to, I hate to say push an agenda, but they're pushing an agenda for beekeepers, right? And what's best for beekeepers and pollination and regulations on mite controls, whether it's trying to get the border blockade from Canada to get our bees up into Canada and stuff like that. Those are the federations, the big ones that try to get that done, right? And if the membership is low, well, honestly, they just don't have the funding to make that kind of stuff happen, right? So we spent a lot of the day today brainstorming about ways to bring the smaller beekeeper like myself and you, Charlie, and most of the people that are watching this, you know, to get them into the American Bee Federation. And it's not like I'm getting paid or anything. I'm not even a member at the moment, but you know, to try to get some things changed on the local level and state level, and you know, even on the governmental level as far as the United States, and maybe, you know, help them get something worked out with Canada and, you know, mite laws and all kinds of stuff. So we talked about that the majority of the day. So hopefully that, you know, some things can change, but the sad part about it is I'm the stay-at-home guy too, right? That stays at home and gets on his keyboard and gets on the internet all the time. So I'm comfortable there, right? But the fact of the matter is this stuff has to be changed, and we can't do it from the house. So the only way we can do things like that is to be a part of the bigger picture, right?
Well, no,
I can't see anything but me, so I don't know.
Well, Brian from Flowers says, look at Bob, all pro association.
Well,
but then he also said it that ABF will be in New Orleans the week after Nobby next year. They were the same weekend as Hive Life this past year, or this year, actually.
Right. Hey, put me back with you so I don't feel like I'm talking to myself.
All right. Here we go.
There. Now I can see you. I still can't see the chat, but that's kind of the thing, is that I got to talk to some interesting people that, you know, they definitely understand that there's kind of this division, if you will, right? And it's been pretty well documented. We've talked about it before on how most, not all, big level commercial guys, they kind of do their thing, right? They don't really want the small beekeeper to kind of infringe on their turf, so to speak, right? So I kind of get that. So that's kind of one of the issues, is that 1% of the beekeepers in the United States pollinate 95% of everything, right? As far as the produce. So they control the pitcher. So it's not so much about control as us all trying to work together get common goals met, So I have high hopes that that'll happen, but the thing is, it's kind of like voting, right? If you don't vote, then you really can't complain too much about what's going on because you're just letting it happen. Now, doesn't mean you're going to win, but you have no voice if you don't vote. So that's kind of what I'm getting out of the talks that we had today, and makes perfect sense to me.
So what did the what was it called? What's the abbreviation for it?
ABF.
ABF. What did they have? Did you were able to listen to any other talks today, or
No? So this is the Mississippi State Beekeeper Conference. It just happens that the gentleman that was sitting next to me out in the lobby with that owns Pro Nuke, the Bee Pro people, he's on the board of directors of ABF, as is Randy Oliver. So that's where that connection was made today. So I just found it very interesting, and I thought it was a worthwhile topic to talk about. And
right.
Yeah.
I know that organization was competing with Cayman because it was on the same date. It happened to be.
Well, the funny thing is, I don't think they really have an aspiration to compete with like a Hive Life, because he was pretty clear about the fact that ABF's not really marketers, right? YouTubers are marketers, right? So that's why we can reach more people, not me specifically, but YouTubers as a group can reach more people than they can contact, right? Whether it's your local congressman or something like that you've got a topic that you need to address, then, this is almost like a call to action type of deal.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of topics that they're addressing, and I think Randy Oliver talked about a few of them in his last video. And so, it's just something that, you either have to be a part of something and try to conquer the mountain, or you're just along for the ride. And then, whatever happens. So I'm not usually that guy that likes to sit. Well, you guys know that. I stand
Brian
up for
saying that there was only 700 people at ABF last year. Well, or I guess it was this year. Of course, they were competing with Cayman's thing, but I think also Cayman's conference, it proven fact that there's a huge amount of beekeepers out there on the YouTube world. That's why there's so many coming to his conference and everything, as far as reaching out and getting everybody. So
yeah, it ended up being like a networking thing, right? I mean, it's not like any of us YouTubers were paid to talk about any of the conferences. We were doing it because we wanted to see, I wanted to see Charlie there, and I wanted to see Lee there, and I wanted to hang out with you guys. And what I have found out at today's conference is that overwhelmingly the people I talk to don't watch YouTube beekeepers.
Really?
Most of them don't. So, the younger ones, yeah, but the commercial guys, most of them don't. It wasn't disheartening. I kind of expected that, but it was just surprising, because I would say, well, have you heard of this person, or have you heard of that person? And they're like, no, and funniest thing was, yeah, I think I've heard of Ian Stepler. And I'm like, okay. Everybody's heard of Ian Stepler. I mean, the janitor walking down the hallway heard of Ian Stepler. You haven't heard of Ian Stepler? But no, it was just a great experience today. And hopefully tomorrow will be as nice as today. and meeting a lot of different beekeepers, and I can't pronounce the guy's name yet, but there was a Canadian. He's like one of the high up guys that does research for beekeeping in Saskatchewan, and he was there, and Ian knew who he was, and Brad knew who he was. So it was. I did not, but I think it's Madhet. I'm probably saying it wrong, but
I don't know.
but yeah, he was a really nice guy. We were joking and cutting up. Must be a Canadian thing there, but
Yeah, it's
yeah, good time.
MEDLAT. Millet. Matt. He. Brian says it's Medhat.
Medhat, yes, Medhat. See,
Yeah.
but
Well,
spoke to him for about an
Brian
hour and a half.
Spelled it the right way, and phonetically, I guess MEDHAT instead of LAT. I guess is one of them French things.
But yeah, I mean, we had a about an hour and a half conversation. Now, it wasn't just me. It wasn't just like me and him one-on-one, but it was three of us, me and him and Charles Lindler. We're all standing there talking for about an hour and a half. So just very interesting topics and times today. So hopefully I can relay some of that in upcoming streams. But right now I got my wife waiting in the truck for me. So
well, the big question is how did Abby Tabs do, or was one another tried another educational opportunity?
Well, it was an educational opportunity, but I was selling some. But because there were so many commercial guys, they were more interested in how much is a case, how much is a pallet. And you know what? They didn't give a shit about no studies. They didn't care nothing about that. They're just like, what does it do? How do I get it? And where do I get it from? So there's guys, well, I got 1,800 colonies. How many do I need? And we're just doing math on that and shipping and price breaks and stuff like that. So tomorrow, I think a lot of people will get those things before they head home, right? So, yeah, great show. Hey, James.
Evening, guys.
Sorry I didn't acknowledge you while I'm walking around with my head up my behind over here.
I'm used to people ignoring me.
Well, you're married, aren't you?
Exactly.
That's like a prerequisite. Can you ignore a man for 8 hours straight? Yep. Okay, let's get hitched.
There you go.
So yeah, I had some interesting conversations with one of your Canadian counterparts up there today.
Oh, who was that?
I sent you a picture. A Dr. What was it? Medhat.
Oh, there you go.
Do you know him? You know that feller?
I've talked to him. I can't really say I know him. I have talked to him.
Oh yeah, just a nicest guy. He was funny too. He's like,
oh yeah, there you go.
he was. And hey, if Robert's on, yeah, there it is. I actually told him Robert's story about blowing the lid off his hive, and he found that quite funny. so yeah, we were having a good time and just talking bees,
Excellent. What are we talking tonight?
Well, I kind of jumped on after eating dinner, so I kind of stole the show, unfortunately, again. But there's a chance that Randy Oliver will be on our stream in a few weeks.
Oh, right on.
So that'll be interesting if that comes to fruition. But more about the American Bee Federation and how people need to join, because they can't do anything without funds, and they're kind of low on funds right now. So be honest with you.
And you know what? Those kind of organizations we need to support, kind of like the up here in Canada, CHC and stuff like that. We need to support those guys. Our tech program up here, just all of those things.
Well, I was happened to be privy, and I don't want to talk about everything that was talked about, but one of the things we've discussed on here is about the blockade from American bees making it into Canada. And that was definitely one of the topics that one of the directors of ABF and MedHat were having while I was standing there. And you know, how they kind of, I mean, the consensus seemed to be that the data, I guess that was did they do a review or something? I'm not that familiar with it, but a review they did several years ago is kind of outdated, and they need to re-look at that and see if it's still the same as it was then. And they really seemed like they were trying to come to some kind of consensus on whether or not they could work together to get that lifted. So, you know, but it's government, so you know it's going to be slow.
Well, and there's two sides to that. I know quite a bit about both sides. We really don't have time to get into that on Charlie's show tonight. That's a bit of a political firecracker too. So,
right.
You ought to give Randy your sleeve of tablets. Maybe he can do some testing for you.
Well, hey, actually, the funny thing was, MedHat really appreciated them, kind of like you guys did up there, right? It's like, hey, if it's a supplement and it's not breaking the law, which it's not, and it kills mites,
that's a bonus. I mean, anything
thumbs
that kills
up.
mites is just a bonus, right? So.
And so he seemed pretty enthusiastic about it, but we'll see how that goes in the future. But at any rate, guys, I'm going to hop out of here because my wife's going to get madder and madder sitting in the truck by herself. And we're going to head back towards the hotel because we've been out since, I had her up like 5 o'clock this morning, and we just ate our first meal of the day.
Having her up at 5 a.m.
Hey, she was manning the table.
So
and it went pretty good. Believe it or not, I got very little of my residual apis left over.
There you go. Well,
and guess what? Those commercial guys were buying 6 packs at a time, the big packs. How much does that make? A tote? Give me 6.
Did they know, they didn't know who Ian was? Did they know anything about apis?
Oh yeah, it didn't hurt that Strong Microbials was right next to it, and they kept picking the bag up and says, yes, it's got this Canadian rocket fuel in our. Oh, and I was gifted from Strong Microbials 40 pounds. It's not a pollen patty. It's a 40-pound box of fondant, winter fondant with the apis in it. So they don't have a pollen patty. It's a fondant. So the information that was put out on the other channels, I think, might have been a little bit skewed.
Did you say, Charlie, somebody didn't know who Ian was?
Yeah, most of them did.
A lot of people didn't, which was surprising. It was more of we just don't watch beekeeping YouTube.
Just hang on a second here.
He's going to bring Ian in from the other room?
I don't know.
Be like
the dunce cap.
Right. They're walking around with a bucket on their head, some of them. But you know what? Here's a good thing about that. I can see the bad side of that, but the good side is they didn't hear all the BS stuff like on the Appy tablets and all that's been shunned around on YouTube either. So sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, but I didn't, I was selling it on the merit of, hey, it's a great product. My bees look good. Their whole demeanor has changed, and it's really good as how did I phrase it? I said it about 50 times today. Not a treatment, but a I can't remember the phrase that I used today, but it was more of a just helped keep stasis after you've gotten it to a level, right? And and people were very receptive to it. And I think tomorrow will be the day when people are like, okay, we're going home now. Because I had several people ask me about getting cases of it and pallets of it. So hopefully it takes off. But anyway, guys, I got to run off of here, and I'll try to maybe get back on when I get to my hotel room.
Yeah, find out more about that microbial stuff that's sitting next door to you. Or,
All right.
Or as, you know, I've read about it, but get some more insight about it. All right,
Sure.
Bob, we'll catch you all later.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right, James, thanks for coming in and saving me.
Well, I just about didn't actually. I still got to jump in and have a shower here. So I was doing my November chores, if you would. It's can honestly say it's the first time ever I mowed the lawn in November up here. So I mowed the front and backyard and got it all raked and everything like that. And everything's ready to go. We're supposed to get freezing rain and drizzle again tonight. So pretty much got everything all cleaned up and put away there. So it can snow as much as it wants now. I even got the snow blower all serviced and it's in the garage ready to go. So
yeah, I seen your video. I guess it's a short video today with you guys taking the little John Deere front end loader with the forks and putting in the 2-way pallets inside your barn.
Oh yes, the first load there.
First load and all.
So yeah, actually we ended up going four? I think it was 4 hives high, 5 hives high this year in order to get them all into the barn. So worked out really good and actually it looked amazing. Everything that pallet system, everything just sits there and locks together so sweet. It's just it makes it so nice to move things around.
I was looking at that and I seen the one fella had a pallet jack and then he was bringing the tractor in and then dropping the 2-way down. I guess he was positioning everything with a pallet jack.
Actually, exactly.
Like first row or something.
Yeah, that worked way better because just the building's just a little bit tight with the doors the way they are. So I dropped them inside the door there, and then I would stack them up. They would grab the whole stack with the pallet jack and just back it on in there and put them all nice and tight. I'm just looking at DCB's comment there. So that's what I used to do is I used to take that sugar, I would dampen it down. And actually there's a video. I think it's actually the very, very first video I ever made, believe it or not, on my channel. And then I packed it into right into the frames itself and dropped that frame into the hive. It did 2 things for me. So one, it provided a sugar source if the bees needed it, but 2, it actually absorbed some of the moisture out of the hive. So it kept the moisture down in the hive there a little bit too. So it worked double well. I still, if I find a hive or something like that, that's a little bit low. Sometimes people will phone me up and say, well, I didn't give them enough sugar or something like that. I'll still help them make up those frames that way and drop those frames down into the hive. Evening, Doug.
You there, Doug?
Good evening.
So,
Got your popcorn, Charlie.
What's that?
He's got your popcorn.
Oh, okay.
It's popcorn Doug instead of popcorn Charlie tonight.
Okay. Yeah. So what'd you do? Take that pallet jack and position them and all that, and then you brought the tractor in for the next, level up and just stuck them up there.
No, so basically I was bringing them in too high. So I'd bring, one set in, set it down, bring another set in, set it on top. They'd grab the pallet jack and then wheel them to the back. Or, I just kept stacking them up at the door and then the pallet jack would pick them up and wheel them to where they had to go. It worked really, really well, actually.
Yeah, so but then if you had two you had 2 pallets stacked on top, 2 hives stacked on top. Then you went ahead and put 2 more up top, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Correct. So that gave you the total of 4.
Well, and some of those are a deep and a medium. So, I took all the medium equipment I had And I put I filled the medium equipment with sugar water too, and put that in there as well. So we'll see how that turns out. And the reason I did that is those hives seem to be the stronger hives that I pulled out of the barn last year. So we'll see what happens this year.
As far as having the
Number of
the
bees.
medium that was full of sugar or sugar water is
Yep.
what you're saying. They were the ones that would have the most amount of bees and whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
But didn't you find that that they really didn't eat that food medium?
They only ate maybe 1 or 2 frames out of the center, but I did find that the bee population was considerably higher. So we're going to see what happens this year. Like I said, once again, I didn't keep real good data last year as to what, the pros and cons and what all happened. So I'm keeping much better data here this year.
Yeah, and then you also you were doing it that way, and then you said you were going to do just single boxes, and then I forget what other.
I think I only had 40 mediums. I think I got 40 hives that I put in the barn that are a full deep and a medium. Everything else in the barn is just a deep
Medium.
Nope, no mediums. Just
I mean, not a medium, but I mean a deep.
Yeah.
And all that, and then you were doing some different. You're trying to do some experimentation as far as mites and
Correct.
things of that nature, and then also, you have I'll say a specialized feeding system.
It helps. It helps.
So we'll see how all that works. That sounded like to me that it was working quite well. Now, Doug, I've been watching of course, I've subscribed to your channel and you've been putting some videos out and showing your holding tank air and then where you pump it from there over to another bottling tank. And I guess at your level, when you go from 1 year's crop to the next, do you clean out? I guess you clean out that holding tank, the big yellow one, when you
yeah, for sure.
clean it out completely. Is that the one where the wax cappings kind of float to the top?
Yeah.
Okay. So you actually get in there and scoop all that out of there and stuff. So do you actually
it has a ladder inside.
Has a ladder in it?
Yeah.
Do you actually
has
wash that thing out when you get done with it?
Yeah, we use a pressure washer in it.
Pressure washer inside?
Yeah.
You get rid of all that stuff. And then I was just asking because I got this 25-gallon bottling tank, and last year's honey was a little darker than this crop that I got this year. This year's on the lighter side. And actually, I dumped a couple buckets full in my bottling tank, and I found that the lighter honey sunk to the bottom and the darker came to the top. And then as I was drawing, filling bottles, I could see that I was going back to the darker stuff. So I said, okay, let's drain this tank out completely so everything is the same from this point on. But I did have right on the top, right around the top rim of my tank, it's of course heated, with water. It's a Max Ant, and it's got I presume it's pollen particles that's kind of caked on the sides and stuff. So I'm wondering, okay, should I just try to scrape that off or just leave it and refill the whole tank, or actually take hot water and wash it all out and make it spick and span? I don't know. What's your guys' opinion on that? Does it really matter per se, or are you just creating more work and all?
Our bottling tank, I'll use high pressure washer, but I'll use cold water to get that stuff out usually. Yeah.
Yeah, I always use cold water first. Cold water kind of makes the wax and all of that stuff come off a whole lot easier. You hit it with hot water, you're just going to smear it on there. It's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
Now, I think Brad found out. What did he? I think he used baking, or was it soda crystals or something? And he found that was for that cleaned his out really, really well.
Yeah, that's where Ian got that idea from too.
So,
but no, mine just it's wet. I mean, like I say, I did it this evening. I cleaned out the bulk of all the honey out of the bottom. It might be just I'll say a coating of honey that's left in the bottom. And the rest of the tank is pretty clean. And I'm like, whether I should even worry about washing it out and just.
Well, I mean, you always want to have stuff sanitized, clean and sanitized, right?
Okay, Kodiak
it's a food product, so.
Yeah, Lee says I empty my Maxan and clean completely, including cleaning the valve out and all. I don't have any problems with the valve. Hey, Brad, washing soda and sodium carbonate.
There you go.
And that was in his. That
was in his.
That was his wax. He was using that in his wax capping.
Well, that was his bottling tank that he uses back and forth, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I don't know. My thing of it is with the bottling tank, I got all that wood at the that water in that tank, and it's it isn't light, it's heavy because it's got water filled. And so I figured, well, I thought about maybe washing it out and cleaning it out and then dry it and.
No, that would be my recommendation. I try very hard to keep everything sanitized and very, very clean. So that's the last thing I want is anybody getting sick from anything that I produce or sell.
Yeah. Lee's talking about where the wax will build up in the valve over time and make it sticky and all that stuff and all that. But so that's where I'm at right now. It's like, all right, finally got this honey out. I got it in jars. And I guess I mean, of course, I was in there previous. I had to tune up the heat a little bit because there was some crystallization going on in the bottom. And then it got it up hot enough where it decrystallized. And then I took a rubber spatula and kind of stirred it a little bit to kind of displace that crystallization and make it help it better, which it did. But I think you whipped air into it a little bit more so when you do that too, because I was pouring it into some of my jugs, and you know how it is, that kind of froth kind of comes to the top.
Oh yeah,
and all that stuff. So I said, well, I'll go in there with a spoon or something and kind of scrape all that off, for salability and looks and stuff. Or I got several quart jars that I got a friend of mine. She wants some honey anyway, so give out to her.
There you go. Yeah, I'm starting to get orders come in for a lot of Christmas baskets. In fact, I had to placed another order today for a lot of the the nice hexagon jars and stuff like that. So I did.
You actually make a basket type product?
No, I just supply the honey, and the ladies here in town make all the baskets. They just get their honey and stuff like that from me. So.
Okay.
Yeah, this guy doesn't make baskets. And they would just all go in a cardboard box and tape the thing closed, and here you go.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. What else you got on the go?
Huh?
Say, what else do you have on the go?
Yeah. Hold on for a minute. I just got a text in here. But that's pretty much it. I mean, like I was saying about earlier, all the hives are fed with sugar water. All the top hive feeders are off that I use, cleaned up, put away for the year. It was pretty cold here a couple days ago. I had enough time to get out there kind of middle of the day, and I have screen bottom boards. So I went ahead and put the coroplast covers underneath just to keep that wind and stuff going up into them. And it's going to get up around the 60s this weekend. Like right now it's 44 degrees Fahrenheit, which, it's not super cold, but it's cold. And, I was looking for my, there it is, my conversion sheet here.
Well, What happened?
44. That'd be 7 degrees Celsius.
Oh, yes.
And so I put them in. I think that's fine, you know, but I need them in anyway for my OA treatments. And I'm going to be trying to do that here within the next week or so for the first treatment. At least try to get one a month or at least twice a month. I would prefer, and vape them and keep the mite load down. I don't do any really spring mite treatments like an Aprivar or something like that. I just go throughout the winter time. Usually we have a lot of, occasionally like 48-degree days. Oh, there's the hives inside. Cool. All put in.
All nestled in. It's kind of nice being able to, being as the bee barn's a little ways away, it's nice to be able to check in on them and know exactly what the temperature and everything all is, you know, and control it all from here too. So that's kind of a nice touch. I tip my hat to Brad for putting me onto that one. They are a little bit warm tonight though.
5 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
Well, I see multiple readings. What's that? Multiple readings throughout the bee barn.
Right. So the top one is the north sensor. The next one is the mixed air temperature. So that's coming from the outside in the air conditioner. The next one's a south sensor. So I got one on each side of the hives. And then there's the outside air temperature sensor. And then the next one down is the cooler temperature. So right now it's feeding air into the barn at 0 degrees. So it's cool.
That's 32.
Yeah, it's
Fahrenheit.
cool in the barn. So,
and then the other one there was 4 degrees Celsius, which is about 30. It's actually 39 degrees.
So 4 degrees is exactly what the air conditioner and stuff like that will do to maintain it right at 4 degrees. So it hits 5.5 degrees, and then the air conditioner will kick on, cool it back down. So.
Yeah, well, 5.5, that's 41. Well, it's 6 degrees Celsius is 42.8, 41 at 5. So you're like 41 and let's say a half degree.
So it works pretty good.
That's not really that much difference between 4 and 5 degrees Celsius.
No, but it keeps it right there, plus or minus 1 or 2 degrees. So actually, I think it's 1.8 is what the span is on that reefer unit. So it keeps pretty close tabs on the barn there, and it sure helps. What is the optimal temp for me? 4 degrees Celsius is what I have everything set up for. So it'll hit it right at 4 degrees.
Yeah, optimal.
Have you got room for
What's that?
Have you got room for everything in there when you expand, James?
I do. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, the building that I've got will hold probably about, if I had to guess, I'm hoping it's going to hold 1,000 hives. Wink, wink. So right now I've got, what is there, 154 or something like that in there right now. And I'm only using a very small portion of the whole building. In fact, I've got it partitioned off because the whole back half I'm not even using yet. And I've only gone, I think it was 4 or 5 highs. So I think I can go another 1 or 2 up on it there yet. And then I still got room for another row in the front. So half the barn will probably hold 300 hives easy. So the back half of the barn is still a little bit bigger. So it'll be close to 1,000 hives I'll be able to hold in there. And that the reefer unit will, I've sized it so that it'll do the whole building. So it'll maintain that whole building at 4 degrees.
Yeah. Good night, Lee. DC's got some questions for you, James. Optimal temperature for you, well, that would be 4 degrees Celsius, which is actually 39 degrees Fahrenheit. And then he says, do you use what are you using a specific type of sensors and temperature and moisture and
right? So they're called Accurate. So is what they're called. So if you take a look, it's just called My Accurate. And then if you go onto the My Accurate, it works off of any wireless router. So with that My Accurate, you have different sensors and stuff like that you can put onto it. It's actually a weather station, is what it is. And Brad put it on to me. But yeah, they tell you temperature, humidity. The one that I have outside even tells me the dew point. Wind speed, velocity. Like I said, it's kind of a weather station, but you can get all these additional sensors for it. And I see Brad's online. I don't know if he,
yeah, he was answering some of the questions. What Ziggy was talking about was Brad says 50% relative humidity plus or minus 15%. And DC wants to know, are they like brood minders? I don't think so.
Nope. So these go on the outside. They're just basically, I've got them on the outside of the hives. And the reason I've got multiple ones, one on the north end, one on the south end, is I can tell. So the north end is right close to the door. I just want to make sure that if anything was to happen, and let's say, I don't know, a failed door seal or something like that, I want to make sure that I'm distributing that properly through there. Now I don't have to worry about that too much, because on the top of the bee barn or in there, I've got an air mixing system. Being a sheet metal mechanic by trade up here in Canada, it wasn't hard for me to, I fabricated a mixing box that, basically takes the cold air from outside the building. I can mix it to whatever percentage I want inside. And I can, with another thing here, it's through Genie. I have a centralized fan, and I can turn it on or off. So you can see my centralized fan right now is only going at 51%. So, so I can control the fan, the reefer unit, air conditioner, whatever you want to call it, all right from my phone. And it gives me alerts. So I don't know if you hear the alert every now and then. It gives me alerts every time that thing hits an alarm set point that I set in there. So if it gets to 6 degrees, I'm going to get an alert. If it goes to 2 degrees, I'm going to get an alert. So I have the alert set up plus or minus 2 degrees of what I'm looking for.
Right. I know that last year you had that issue. What was it? A thermostat controller got stuck open or closed or something like that?
Yeah, and the heater was running away.
Yeah.
So yeah, by the time I got out there, I think it was 14 degrees or something like that. So that was exciting when you open the door going into a barn full of bees at 14 degrees.
And then Honeybee Compound wants to know, do you have any problems with signal going through metal buildings? I guess you have an antenna on the outside, I presume.
Well, in this case, my wireless unit and everything like that is all on the inside. And I'm with, a service provider for this one called Bell Mobility up here. They suck just about as bad as any other service provider. But no, actually, this building's got metal siding on the outside of it. No issues whatsoever.
Yeah, Brad was saying that the Ackrite system sends text messages when the temperatures are outside your chosen thresholds.
Yep,
it's a nice thing.
Yeah, Brad was.
I know that, like, what was it? Oh, when I'm signing in on Zoom, they have to send me a email, and it's like, I wish you just send me a text. It's easier for me to grab that off of my phone a lot better. And then Amar says Govee has temperature sensors with alarms, set points.
Same thing. So Govee and Accurate, they're I think they're competitors of each other. They both work.
Yeah. So Doug, how was the crop? I guess you got all your honey crop in and everything this year?
Yeah, in and sold most of it.
I was going to say, if you haven't got it in now, Doug, you're probably not going to get it in.
Yeah, we got winter here. Unlike you, we've got snow, James.
Yeah, I mowed my lawn today. Can you believe that? I've never mowed a lawn in November. I actually mowed my front and backyard today.
So what was your poundage, Doug? Do you know?
I can't say I ever figured it right out. Probably just a little over 200 this year. I would think 200, 220, somewhere there.
220,000 pounds. Or
Oh, no,
six.
total?
Yeah.
We're a little over. We've shipped 60,000 and we just shipped another 10 barrels this week. So
That's what, 640
10
pounds.
barrels is another 6,000.
Yeah, about 640
We're
pounds a barrel, I
about
think.
65, 66,000.
There you go.
Yeah. I always use just 600. It's easier to figure.
Yeah, 600 times 10 is 6,000 pounds. So you're right at 66,000 pounds.
Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's what you said last, that you average, what you were saying the last time we were talking about it.
Yeah.
So here's something interesting for you.
Pretty close
I don't
there.
know if you can read that.
What's it say? Lawnmower did not want to start. It kept yelling at me. It's winter, dumb ass. I am not a snow blower.
that was my wife when she was asking me what I was doing this, and why I was having a hard time trying to get the lawnmower started. So I kept telling her that because the lawnmower is yelling at me, dumbass, it's wintertime. I'm not working. And then, of course, trying to get the snowblower going so I could get it serviced, it was yelling at me saying, listen, dumbass, it's still summer. So neither one of the pieces of equipment wanted to work with me today.
But
We might lose our snow. They got rain in the forecast.
We're supposed to get freezing rain tonight, actually. Freezing rain and snow and drizzle. But then next week, they're forecasting, it's crazy weather up here. +7 and +9 again. Like just typical Alberta weather. Hot, cold, hot, cold. And then we're going to wake up one morning and there'll be 6 feet of snow again.
Well, they were, that seems to be the buzz right now on all the weather.
Crazy. 7s, 8s, 6s. That's just, all I can say is thank goodness for AC.
But all the weather channels and different people are, talking about this El Nino effect on our weather. Where up in your area, it's supposed to be warmer. And
hello, Mrs. Doug in the background.
and and then I don't know. Hopefully it's not going to be. I'm hoping it's going to be a warmer. We don't get any snow. I want to be able to get out there to Nabby without any hiccups because the way I have to travel, part of the roadway is through the mountain. A good portion of it's through the mountain areas.
Yeah, I came down there last January and drove through the Smoky Mountains and all these big flashing yellow lights and winter driving conditions and don't go. And I filled up with fuel and at that one. I don't know. It was between the Smoky Mountains and Bob Binney's place there. They're like, "Oh, you're going through the mountains. Like, you don't want to do that this time of year." Man, that was summer driving. I just about pulled over and had a picnic. It was like there was nobody on the road, and I'm like, "What the heck are they talking about? This is perfect weather." Don't see a daytime high below freezing until November 23rd. Yeah, like you said, it just it's all over here too, like +6.
And then Randy
7.
wants to know how expensive is that AC to run. Of course, you guys have some severe cold weather too. You don't have to be running at that much, I don't think.
Well, it doesn't run very long. You got to remember it. It's already below zero out there right now, so it'll be bringing in, it'll be mixing in the cold air. So from outside, it doesn't burn very much. Fill a diesel tank up on it. It's a reefer unit off of a trailer, right?
Yeah, they were Ziggy's talking about the humidity and indoor versus outdoor hives and stuff like that and all. But Doug, I enjoy your videos you've been putting out, and you showed that tank and all that kind of stuff. And then the other one I was looking at was where you guys were harvesting all that honey and then 5 deep supers of honey on top of those hives that you were working on with that hive lifter machine. and stuff like that. That's to me amazing, and all that. It was pretty cool,
Yep.
and all.
What do you have for
You
a
need that
lifter,
when the
Doug?
canola's
Yeah, the canola. Yeah, well,
nap-
James learning that. You need to teach James how to do the canola honey.
Oh, I had my ass handed to me this year, Doug. First time I've ever put bees on canola. So I went out there and it's like, oh, they need a box. So I drop a box on, and of course, oh, that should last them for a week. I go back and they're plugged right out. Well, I better drop another box on. Come back a week later, they're plugged right out. It's like, okay, if they need one box, they probably should be getting 2 or 3.
How many deeps do you put on, Doug? A couple of them at a time? When you're super up?
We usually put on two to start with, and then we'll probably add 2 or 3 more down the road after that.
At a time, though, Doug?
This year,
yeah.
what's that?
I say at a time, like you put
this
two
year,
deeps and then come back and put 3 at one time on there?
yeah, lots of times we will. It depends on the crop, the flow that's coming.
Right.
This year we had sweet clover like you wouldn't believe, and that we got caught with our pants down. Everything was filling up before we were expecting it.
That's
So
what got me with the canola.
there had to be lots going on early this year.
And now I get this. Freezing rain between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. tomorrow. Great.
Well, it's supposed to, now
Yeah.
here it's going to be about 60 degrees, which is, what is it? 16 degrees your Celsius and all. But that's the problem. The bees will start to flying and they burn up more of their energy and stuff.
Well, I still have one hive in my backyard, and they were all flying today.
Really?
That,
At 0 degrees?
Well, no, it was +7 here today.
Oh, +7. Okay. So it's around 40 to 46 degrees. It's not,
Yeah, 7 is 45 degrees Fahrenheit.
okay. Yeah, they're still in hives around here.
I just come back from a holiday down south, Charlie. When I
Oh,
got
yeah,
on the
yeah.
bus, it was 69 Fahrenheit, and when I got off in Brandon, it was -17 C.
Jeez. 1 degree.
Yeah. Welcome to Canada.
Yeah.
You were where were we at? Branson, Missouri? Or
Yeah, Nashville, Branson.
Nashville? My sister just, I kind of forgot about it, but she was down in Nashville this past week on a tour bus thing. And she was talking about, well, this one singer I know, Rhonda Vincent, she's one of the newer members of the Grand Ole Opry, but she's out of Missouri, but she actually lives in Nashville now. And I said, well, she was up here in York, Pennsylvania at some 4-H type of benefit show or something like that. So she might have played the Grand Ole Opry down there and then rolled up the road to the next show, or vice versa, one of the two. But
so I see the comments in the chat here. There was a study done on humidity and bees for winter storage. Now, it was done in German, so the translation, when you translate it there with Google Translate, doesn't come across very, very well. But I can forward that off to Ziggy there if you would like. I think I still have that saved on the computer here. I'll see if I can find it.
mm-hmm. You have his email address?
Yeah, I think I do. Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, you'll have to forgive it because I translated it from German, and I think it was German or into English. So it's not the best.
Right. So have you put all your, I guess, well, you got snow and everything up there, Doug. I guess you put all your hives together real close and wrapped them and stuff like that?
Yeah, when I was away, Nathan wrapped them all I got 4 to do this weekend yet.
Yeah. And because you're keeping them outside
Yeah.
up there and all that. So you're what, still running around 600 hives or so?
No, we're always in that 350, give or take, somewhere's in there.
Oh, okay.
You four-way pallet or 4 hive pallets, Doug?
Yeah. My son works full time too, so we're about the max that we can handle with 2 people.
And you found that that's about what, 300 you said?
We run usually around the 350, give or take. Eh?
So Alan and I were trying to figure that out as to what would be the number. So and we were kind of thinking to shoot for 300 and see how that works.
That'll keep you busy.
Now, yeah. Now, Doug, well, you were showing the video on here, the one, or I guess it was Bob showing it, but didn't you don't really palletize your hives, do you? Aren't they singles somehow?
Yeah, there's singles sitting on a pallet.
Okay. And then he's got a regular pallet but he has a bottom board, like a normal bottom board, right? And that
Right.
what right? And,
Yeah.
and not instead of using the pallet as the bottom board, he's got a, it's like my single hive just sitting on a 4-way pallet or a 4x4
Right.
pallet.
Yeah, but still, when you do that and you wrap them up, you're only got 2 sides exposed to the elements. The other 2 sides kind of share the heat with the other 2 hives, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they push them together and that kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
all,
that's
but
a
normally
common-
they slide them apart in the summertime, from what I gather.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they do around here too. You know,
Is that
for
right?
Anybody that keeps them outside. Yeah, you usually see them on a 4-way pallet, and then that wrap goes right around all 4. Put the board over the top, kind of dome it a little bit, so
Yeah.
as it melts, the water run off. And
Well, when you're wrapping them, is it like an insulated filled plastic type of stuff,
Yeah. It's got a bit of a fiber fill.
fiber filled type of thing?
Yeah. The pillow top, it's R20, and I forget what the side wraps. It's not as,
Yeah.
I think it's R10 or something like that.
Hope's made a comment on there. 190 pounds of colony. That's not uncommon for canola.
No, not around here.
Oh,
That's like Doug said to me. He had that one set of hives there on that video. There was what was it, Doug? 12,000 acres of canola all the way around that
yeah.
group of hives. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
there's no want for nectar at all. It's just there. It's like an ocean of nectar coming in
Yeah.
and all.
Yep.
That's just unheard of for us around here.
Well, you saw the field I had mine on.
Yeah.
I think there was I think you had to go almost, I think it was 2 miles you had to go before you ran out of canola.
I think there's places here you can go 20 miles without running out.
Yeah,
Really?
that's where you need to drop another apiary about every half a mile.
Yeah.
And all that.
Our flow didn't last that long this year. We were hot and dry. So the canola season wasn't probably what we would normally get.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It was hit and miss. We had some areas around here, you go north of Sexsmith and you had good good moisture and everything. You go north of Sexsmith and it was dry, and you'd head a little bit east to TP Creek and it would be wet again, and you'd go north to Wanham and it'd be dry. It's just hit and miss.
I'll be back in a second or two. Hold on.
I think
Yeah.
me and Hungry Duck, he's going to go get popcorn.
We had yards that I maybe mowed twice this year, and I had other ones you had to mow up just about every week,
Oh,
Like-
yeah.
just depending on the showers. Eh?
Yeah. My apiary here closest to the house, it's about 12 minutes away from the house here. I could mow that thing every week, and I still had a hard time keeping up.
Yeah.
And then every fall, I seem to have an issue with skunks at that apiary. Like it's an old, there's an old farmyard stuff right nearby. So there's obviously, a family of skunks, or a couple, male and a female at least. But every year I run into problems with skunks at that apiary, and we end up, trapping a couple of them out of there every single year.
Well, we normally take about 20 to 30 skunks a year out of yards. This year I only took one. Maybe we finally caught up to them. I don't know.
Huh. Yeah, they're not a lot of fun though. Boy, they can make a mess in a hurry.
Yeah. We found a little conibear trap, only just big enough to catch them around the neck.
Yep.
They don't spray. Best way to handle them.
Yeah, that's what we use. A little 120 conibear. We just set it up like a martin box. So we just build a little box, throw something in the back of the box, and that way it jumps out and they're dead instantly. So, and then half the time, well, actually more than half the time, they don't even spray if you catch them right.
Yeah.
So,
I used to use a box trap the first couple of years.
Oh.
And when you took the skunk out, you pulled the lid, the skunk would never come out. I figured, well, I took my smoker. There's a little round hole in the back. I said, if I filled it full of smoke, he'd come out. He should have died of lung cancer. He still wouldn't come out of there. You had to pick the box up and give it a shake so they come flying out.
Oh, yes. And then you want to make sure that they're far enough away from you.
Usually when they land, they're kind of disoriented. It gives you time to do your thing.
Hey.
Evening, Brad.
Hey, everybody.
What the heck is that white stuff behind you?
Yeah. I can't.
You know what, buddy?
I can't tell you what I think of that because it's a live show.
I was going to say I mowed my lawn today.
I was listening to you bragging about. Telling about mowing your lawn. I just took the lawnmower off of I still got the garden tiller on it though.
Oh, there you go. I was even tempted if I didn't have so much to do. I was even tempted to fire the bike up and go for a ride. It was that nice.
Well, you heard me telling you about this long-term forecast. I don't know if I should move my bees in now.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at daytime highs of 2 and 3, overnight lows of -3, -5.
Isn't that something?
So I'm like, why would I move my bees in? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, every day that they.
What do you think, Doug? Is it wise to leave them out a while?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, and the funny thing here is last week we had -14, -15. Daytime highs of -2.
Yeah, we've had a couple of cooler days. I don't know that we've gotten quite that cold here, but I see one crazy outlier of -10 along about the 17th, but they can't tell you what the weather was yesterday half the time, let alone 2-3 weeks out.
Yeah.
We got a
cold when you had to sit in a blind, I guess.
That Doug?
We got a +8 coming, and they're forecasting rain with it, so we might lose our snow.
Well, see, that's what kind of worries me. I don't really want my bees in the barn if it's +8 outside.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know what to do. Half of them are sitting, James, the ones that you brought there are sitting by my driveway. Brought them over a couple of days ago. They're sitting by my driveway. I can move them in pretty easy, but I don't know if I should.
Every day they can do a cleansing flight. That's one more day, right?
No, I don't. No, that's certainly not going to happen. But I just don't know. I don't think temperatures down to anything -5 or above for sure is going to do them any harm. I mean, they're so good at staying warm.
Yep.
I don't want to run them out of feed, but the feed consumption graphs that we're given, the feed consumption does not increase dramatically below 4 degrees. It increases dramatically above 4 degrees.
Absolutely.
But below 4 degrees, it doesn't really go up very fast.
Well, I've got one hive in the back here that I haven't put away yet. They were flying like mad today. I don't know where the hell they were going, but they were on a mission.
And that's the thing. I don't want them to fly. Like, that's the whole thing. I don't want them to fly because I'm listening to Lloyd here. He's saying, don't let them fly. That's bad news. So, I'm watching Ian's video just tonight, and he was talking about that. He didn't mention that specifically, but that's what he was talking about. That he wanted to move his bees in early this October, but his plans got made for him by the snow. He didn't want to move bees in the snow, and he ended up moving bees in the snow anyway.
Yep.
And move his bees in, early. And really, this is right around when I move my bees in. I'll move my bees in the first week of November usually.
Yep.
So the fact that they're outside is not unusual.
No.
It looks, and we've been talking about this the whole time, and I suggested to Ian that it probably seems like you've moved your bees in, on time or late or something, just because of that early snow. We usually don't get, a good little dusting of snow here that stays before the end of October,
Yep.
And now that we have this snow that's it's pretty much staying around, it kind of seems later than it is. Plus the fact that here's another thing. You know how our heads are affected by so many things, and our thoughts and our impressions on things, and it's all relative. Thanksgiving here, and yes, everybody in Canada, Thanksgiving is the first Monday in October, second Monday in October. Thanksgiving was almost a week early this year. Okay, so that really affected my thought process, because I'm usually moving my bees home from the out yard around that weekend, right? So I'm going through Thanksgiving, and I'm going through the week after Thanksgiving and thinking, oh, I'm late, I'm not getting my work done. And I'm freaking out because I'm not getting my work done. And yet that's largely because I've just gone through Thanksgiving weekend, and I feel like I should be a week farther along in my work, getting the honey house ready, because I have to do certain things, get everything cleaned up, and so it's been kind of a screwy month with that Thanksgiving messing up my schedule, and then this early snow messing up my schedule. I'm not really that far behind.
No. Well, it was
right
last
now.
year was November 1st when I moved them in. This year was November 1st when I moved them in. So,
Yeah.
I just,
And
like I said,
and like this
I looked at
looks bad, but it's you could still stick a spade in the ground out there.
it's not froze here either.
It's
But
not
the funny
froze at
thing
all.
is last week when we decided we were going to move the bees, you looked at the forecast for the next couple weeks, and it was supposed to be a high of 0 or -1, -2. Thinking, perfect timing. Now you get the forecast +7.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So Shane's asking, doesn't the bee barn control heat and cold? No.
Yes.
I
Mine
use. Well, he's asking me, but no, I use. Well, the only thing I can use to cool my building is the outside air. I don't have a chiller like James has. James needs a chiller a whole lot worse than I do, because he's in an area of the country that gets these crazy warm up systems come through in midwinter. I don't get that. Just very rare.
Yeah, we'll get a
And
Chinook quite
and
regularly.
so my outside temperatures are generally going to be low enough that I can draw in that outside air into the building to cool it down. If you get 100, say, and I think I'll have about 170, I think, in there this year. And if you think about between 10 and 20 watts a piece, so every 100 colonies, that's 1,000 to 2,000 watts for every 100 colonies. There's quite a bit of heat going in there the whole time. And my building generally doesn't reach equilibrium, with meaning the heat the bees are generating as offset by the heat that the building sheds naturally. It's a reasonably insulated building too, so it doesn't shed heat unnecessarily, unusually, quickly. That equilibrium is usually reached around -10°C. This guy can do the math on that, because these guys, this guy and
That's
this guy,
14. That's 14 degrees Fahrenheit.
these guys don't know what F is, so this guy can do the.
We just got to get you a reefer, Brad. I
I don't know where I get one of those.
Oh, I know where there is one.
So that would be fun to experiment with, getting the bees in early, keeping them in late, trying to put in practice some of the stuff that Lloyd preaches, right? Because he definitely preaches that longer cool down period. So another thing I'm battling, and also I was talking to Ian about this today, is it was I think 2 or 3 days ago, I turned the heat down in my building because I run at about 20 C in there so that we can work comfortably. We're still paling up some honey and getting things cleaned up. And so then I turned the temperature down in the building to cool it down, because I've got a big concrete slab in there that's running 20 C, right? And that's generating a lot of heat. And so it's difficult to pull that down to a 4 degree, and to have 10,000 pounds of honey in there. That's a pretty big thermal
Heat sink.
mass,
Yeah.
right? And so I got to cool all that down 4 degrees before I stick all these bees in there. So if I went and stuck all these bees in there with a 20-degree slab and 10,000 pounds of honey running 20 degrees, and I loaded the place with bees, and then the outside temperature went up to 7 or 8, I think I'd be in big trouble. So I'm just kind of dragging my feet on that. Plus, I like to have the extra storage right now. It's always nice.
I
Well,
always figure
my-
November 11th is about freeze up for the ground around here, Brad.
Oh, yeah. I'm always watching things when they're going to freeze to the ground, because I can't pick anything up after it's frozen, or I'll break it. How does your temperature get controlled? Sorry, go ahead, Charlie.
My question is, I mean, I know Doug winters outside. He puts his hives together and wraps them with insulation. So, and what's the positive, or what's the gain by putting your hives inside, I guess? Is it unless, I mean, I know you have severe cold weather, which you can, your bees would, not be able to work or live through that. But is that the main reason why most beekeepers put their hives in sheds and stuff up there?
It's mainly just a different management technique. I don't think one is right or one is wrong. It's just what
it's not about the bees. It's nothing to do with the bees, really, because statistically, the survivability difference for the bees is one percentage point different.
Really?
Yeah.
So I mean, you're talking about, as far as about bee deaths through the wintertime due to cold, it's only a 1% variation between the two.
Over time, I've looked at the stats over time in Manitoba, and the difference over time has been, of course, there's always outliers, right? There'll be that year where some crazy weather event will come by, and the indoor guys can't cool the shed, or the outdoor guys have some crazy thing happen. And so then there's going to be a difference. But over time, the statistics say there's 1% of difference. And so really the difference is me. I choose it. And that's because, I have my little tractor, and I have a building. I didn't have to build it. I have a building, I have my little tractor. I can just move all those in. It takes me a day. If I were to try to wrap all those hives by myself, and that's the thing, I'm working by myself, right? Take me more than a day, I'll tell you that.
See, our mortality rate here in Alberta, let me rephrase that, in northern Alberta, especially around Grand Prairie here, is a little bit higher if you keep them outside, because we'll get those Chinooks. So you'll get, and it'll be above 0 in the morning, and it'll be 40 below at night. So you end up getting, frost buildup, and this hoarfrost buildup inside the hives. And then the next day when that thaws out, now your bees are getting wet. And, we've lost a lot of bees, up here, from that freeze thaw cycle. And just that condensation buildup inside the hives, they get wet, goes to 40 below. Guess what's going to happen to that bee? Last time I was wet standing out in 40 below, I got cold.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
things froze. So,
So Doug,
you know,
your bees outside, do a lot of your hives get covered in snow, and how much?
A couple of yards will get buried sometimes, but
And
they survive quite well under the snow.
yeah, yeah. See, that's
Mhm.
that's kind of I'm preaching that, that the bees that get buried really do well, and I think because you were just talking about that freeze thaw, that up and down, and that up and down is what's really really hard on them. I think if they're buried under that snow, then
they
they're
don't get that.
insulated from all the wind chill, they're insulated from all the solar gain, and they have the ground as a huge heat sink that moderates the temperatures that are affecting the bees. So it's the ground temperature that really is affecting them, and they'll actually melt out a little igloo. You dig down, and there's a nice little dome over top of the hives that they've melted out.
I think it's the wind in the winter that's the hardest thing on them.
Yeah,
If you've got sheltered yards, it's a big plus.
yeah, yeah. So my building does that, right? That's exactly what my building does.
Yeah.
Is it keeps those bees. Okay, we just talked about some difficulties in keeping the building cool, but barring that, it keeps those bees in an environment that has zero wind, zero solar gain, and a constant 4 degrees C for 5 months. Okay, and that's kind of a little more environment of being buried in snow, no wind chill, no sun, and a constant temperature, a very even temperature.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
solar gain DC's
we
that's heat buildup, right?
That's the sun. Yeah,
yeah.
when the sun shines, and every bee wrap manufacturer will make the bee wrap out of black material, and my opinion is that is a mistake. My opinion is it should be either white or silver. You do
So it
not.
doesn't. So because the black's going to absorb the heat. Um, hey, Ian. Um,
We we look at it. There's a lot of work to moving your bees in when your yards are scattered around the country. Fuel, they don't give that away anymore, and
no, they sure
Telling me.
don't.
our electricity here is. I would like Brad's electrical bill compared to mine. Our power is expensive, so to run an air conditioner through the winter, it costs money here.
This is where the reefer comes in because it's diesel, and it only runs like today, for example, +7, a couple hours, and it's diesel, so it's off of a reefer unit, like I think it was a 40-foot reefer trailer, right? So that works quite well. Electricity, I agree, would be expensive, and that's a part of the problem with some of these bigger ones. Ian and I've talked a little bit, about what, why he doesn't put air conditioning in his, but he's got a huge building. I mean, that would cost a fortune, right?
And it's hive
the other
density
thing-
too. Like Ian's building has a far greater hive density than mine. My building is 40%
Right. And
full of
the other
bees.
thing people have to remember, it's not an air conditioning unit. An air conditioning unit will not get cold enough.
No.
So an air conditioning unit will kick out at about 15 degrees. They got what's called in my freeze stat. You need a reefer unit or a chiller. You need to be able to get that down to below zero if need be, or at least to zero, and an air conditioner won't do that. So these aren't air conditioning units. These are reefer units.
I didn't realize that either. So you actually got a reefer unit off of like a tractor and trailer,
Correct.
and then it can actually does it turn does a diesel motor? So does it turn on automatically? Start the motor automatically?
I can set it that way. I haven't got that set up yet, but I could set it so that it would automatically kick on and off. Yes.
So what do you do? Like these last couple hours, you went out there and told it. Oh, you told it to turn on.
Correct.
All right. So okay. So you can hit a button remotely and tell it to turn it on. and the motor starts, and then it starts pumping its freon and whatever, and cooling the place down. Okay.
So Doug made some really good points about, wintering indoors, wintering outdoors, and that's a perfect illustration of the fact that, a lot of times your management comes down to your situation. Doug cited yards spread around the countryside. Rather drive out with a truckload of wraps and wrap the hives, instead of load them all up and driving them for many miles or something. I think that's a brilliant plan. In a person's certain situation. My situation, what am I? How many yards, Mr. Hunter? James, how many yards is my bee yard from my bee barn?
2, right?
100 yards?
Like 100, like how many yards?
Yeah.
Oh, you're 6,
Yeah.
7. You're almost like 8,000 yards type thing, right? By the time you're what, 2.5 kilometers or 2.5 miles, right?
No, from this yard here, my home yard, to my bee barn.
Oh,
like how far am I moving my bees? 100 yards?
You're like 300 yards.
Yeah.
You're an easy shot on an elk.
But it's close enough that I move them 4 hives at a time, right? I'm driving back and forth a lot, but it's feasible. I can do that. It probably is I've often wondered if I get my truck hooked up to my big trailer and park it over here, right here, and load all these hives on the trailer and drive it 100 yards and then unload it. Is that going to be any faster than me driving my tractor back and forth? I don't know.
Yeah. Ian makes a good point there too, but those wraps don't last forever and they're not cheap, right?
No, and that was one of the things I considered when I thought maybe I would winter indoors. I'm thinking, that building is, 25 years old now. It's probably going to last that much longer, and I'll be not keeping bees by the time, that happens. But wraps, you're going to get 25 years out of a wrap, I'm sure.
What do you get out of a wrap, Doug? 5?
Oh no, we're well over 5. We're probably 8-10 years on most of the wraps.
Oh, you're doing well then.
Yeah. We put poison under all the hives.
Okay.
Help control mice.
But as comparisons, and this is kind of the math I was doing when I was trying to decide, for one of those quad wraps, you're just north of $100, I think, aren't you?
Probably now, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's only 4 hives. So you're looking at 25 of those. It's your $2,500 per 100 colonies.
Yeah.
So I would need to invest $4,000 to $5,000 in wraps. It cost me less than $1,000 to outfit my building.
Yeah.
I owned the building already. Let's not, I already had a building. I didn't have to build it.
That's why we're playing around with these styrofoam hives. We've got 1 yard all styrofoam, and this is its 3rd year. This will be its 3rd winter, I guess. And if that really pans out, that saves a lot of expense in wrap. It makes it easier to treat in the winter. You can treat without up and down wrap and stuff.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can get them down to singles in the winter.
That's what those are right there. Paradise 6 framers.
Yeah, we got ours out of Edmonton. They're a different brand.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I don't know anywhere you can buy these in Canada now, but.
How far from Edmonton are you, Doug?
How far from Edmonton? We're right on the Manitoba-Saskatchewan border, just south of number 1 highway. Long ways.
Got her. Well, next time I go that way, I might have to stop in and say hi.
We're not hard to find.
Ian said he has a second purpose for his winter winter space.
I think it becomes a hothouse, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's hot room. And lots of other stuff too.
I could just poke at Ian and say, geez, if it was another 6 feet higher, he could actually fix some equipment in there too. I know that's a sore spot for him.
Well, lets me
You'll
sleep
see
at night.
somebody come up there now
Okay,
and
well,
say,
this is
"Here."
what doesn't let a guy sleep at night. Something goes wrong in there, and the building burns down. Guess what?
Yeah, exactly. No
Right?
hives.
You don't generally have an entire bee yard, or you don't have, like Doug was talking, we've got bee yards all over the countryside. Have all of your bee yards burned to the ground in the middle of winter. That's not going to happen, right? That can happen. My heater goes nuts in there, maybe burns the building down. I've lost a building and my entire operation.
Well, I mean, look at me last year. I raced out there because my heater was taken off, and it was 14 degrees inside the
Yeah.
bee barn.
Yeah.
You know,
That was a
That's-
Friday night too.
it was. It
It was
doesn't
almo-
take long to get the old blood pumping, and you know, but those are the things. Like I said, you're absolutely right. It could be, could be any number of things.
Beekeeping takes a lot of storage space. Like your honey supers and stuff takes a lot of room.
Yep.
And storing wraps was another thing I just kind of did a whole list of pros and cons in my situation, and storing wraps was also kind of a negative for me. It was, okay, I got all this equipment off season. I got to put somewhere. And so, okay, I need a building for storing wraps instead of storing hives. Of course, it doesn't use as much space, but still.
Yeah, well,
But
with me being retired, Nathan working full time, we can go out in one day, the two of us, and we can wrap all of our hives. We could never load them and bring them in and do that in a day. So,
Well, that's fast.
Yeah, time is a big consideration for the way we operate. Eh?
Yeah, I was shocked. So Sheldon and Alan gave me a hand to move these ones in, and we did it all in 6 hours. So that was 3 different apiaries. Loaded them all up, all in the shed from the time we left the house to the time we closed the door on the bee barn with 6 hours. That went incredibly fast. But like I say, we had 3 of us there working, really, really well, and it just it blew my mind. I was expecting it to be a couple-day venture. So, I'm fortunate that they're not all over the countryside. Next year will be even worse because I'll have twice as many apiaries. So it's probably a full job.
Yeah, Ian and I don't know who talks who down off the ledge every spring. It's we're both going nuts about, oh, my bees are inside and I wish they were outside. And these outdoor guys have got it made, and why on earth did we put our bees in the shed? That's funny.
Yeah, you can toss a coin, really.
Yeah.
Now it seems like that you have a stress moment of when to put them in and when you got to get them out. It's sort of a double-edged sword there.
Well, and look at last year. So
the stress is at the back end, right?
Yeah.
I don't have any. It's easy in the fall. It's like, yeah, whatever. I'll just put them in a building, and in the spring, it's, oh my God, they're in the building.
Yeah. Well, remember last year I was trying to plow snow and blow snow and open up areas to put bees out there, and it's just and you have no choice. You got to get them out. I mean, you can only keep them in there for so long. They've only got so much food. They've only got so many resources. You got to make that call.
I always anticipate spring and getting my bees out. So I always go out there with my snowblower, and I'll spend the afternoon clearing all the snow in my apiary, and then it'll get, the sun comes out and it melts all the snow, and it's just, the dead grass, and it looks so great. And then it's soggy and I'm making ruts and mud and stuff while I'm bringing the bees out. So this past spring, I actually cleared the snow off as I moved the bees out. I would run the snowblower down the apiary, and then I would bring a row of bees out, and then I'd go over and I would run the snowblower down. So I was setting hives on an inch of snow. And you know what? That worked out great. The ground was solid the whole time. It was fantastic. And they'll do that again. No flooding this year. Yeah, this new apiary is up the hill a little bit.
Moving up in the world.
One advantage when you're wintering indoors and you move them outside, you can feed them right at your yard. We have to blow snow to get into some of these yards.
Yeah.
And it can be work to get feed on in the spring if it's a bad spring.
Well, I think Canadians are just blowing snow no matter what happens. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Ian some of the videos where he had a yard back in there, some farm, and you got like 6 foot of snow. It took the roadway in order to get there.
Yeah, on the road.
I was gonna say I was watching Ian's videos and I was thinking, why is he always getting stuck in his driveway? And then when I went to Ian's place, driving in his driveway, it's like, oh, that's
why. Why is that? Is it not flat or what?
Oh, he's just got a big field there that's going to blow a lot of snow right into his.
It blows for miles.
At his driveway there. So he's at the mercy of the wind and Mother Nature for sure.
Yeah, it's like around here when it gets to blowing like that, and you got a flat field next to the roadway. It blows our roads shut. With drifts. And then the county's got to go through with a snow plow and plow it.
But I do have to admit, especially knowing that Ian's on here, I do enjoy getting up in the morning, lighting the fireplace, and opening up the iPad and watch Ian blow snow while I'm sitting in front of the fireplace drinking a coffee and Bailey's.
Hey, Russell.
So talking about different advantages and whatnot, part of that spring stress that I have, and I think Ian does too, is not only the outdoor guys get that cleansing flight late February, they get all that kind of stuff, and then when I bring my bees out, I've got all these hives outside that aren't wrapped, and guess what? The weather turns, and now it's minus 15 at night, and I've got all these little colonies just hanging on to dear life in there, in the cold weather. A lot of beekeepers around here, they'll winter indoors, but they'll also wrap in the spring when they take them out. They put a insulated cover over top, and boy, I wish I had a shed full of those.
Yeah,
because I think that's one of the worst things. Is you bring them out, they've been sitting there 4 degrees all winter. It's, oh, this is all right, and then you take them out, and it's, what the heck happened? It's really cold now.
Yeah, let's see. He doesn't even own that field either, James. That's what he says.
Yeah.
He would have planted trees, I guess, for a windbreak.
Yeah, grow trees.
Well, that's what I did this morning. I think maybe Brad was still in bed, but I got up this morning. The first thing I did is I fired up the fireplace, and I sent a picture to Brad and Ian saying, "Yep, it's one of those kind of days." And I sat in front of the fireplace there for probably an hour and a half before I got my butt up and did anything.
I was probably well on my way to Winnipeg by the time you sent that. I don't know what time it was, but yeah, it was a pretty long day. Spent my day doing deliveries, which is all right. It's always good to sell product, right?
Yep. Oh, like I was saying, I don't know if you're listening. So I've got a bunch of basket orders coming in. So everybody wants their nice, pretty jars for Christmas already to get these basket maids, and Christmas orders are coming in. And so that's really going to be a good help too.
So, yeah. But, it's been an interesting chat amongst all how you guys do a lot of everything up here in the county, as far as outdoor versus indoor. Of course, the amount of honey you guys, and you did a bumper crop this year, Brad, which was, I mean, you really pulled the rabbit out of the hat.
Well, yeah, these guys make all the honey. I'm just I'm a hacker, but it turned out good, honey crop wise.
Yeah, I mean, but for the fact that you had what you had to go through in the beginning, and being able to overcome that, and Ian had the same problem.
Wasn't sure there for a while.
I think you guys did a great job. Hey, Dan. But I think that's one of, I think, you guys should pat yourself on the back as far as I'm concerned, being able to get yourselves out of predicaments, where
Yeah, you got
most
like
of
two. You got
Huh?
2 months, 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks to do the whole thing, right? That's it.
Yep.
It's like do it or don't, right? It's just do it.
Yeah,
yeah,
you spend all the time getting ready for those 6 or 8 weeks too,
And then
and you
that's
know,
what I got.
I was a little behind the 8 ball this year, so I wasn't 100% ready, but I'll be that much better next year.
Well, you managed to fit in a few road trips,
Well, I got a few more that I got to do here before Christmas, so I'll be coming back over your way.
right
So,
on.
oh hey, you'll be happy to know my truck has air conditioning and cooling
heard.
seats.
I heard you should have got the one with heated seats because
Well, it has
it is Canada.
heated seats too.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
they do both. You know, only had to wait since January for the damn thing, but it finally came in.
Well, that's what you want. That's worth the wait.
How
So
about a heated steering wheel?
it has one of those too. If you
Yeah,
want
well, that's nice. You got one of those, Doug?
Yeah.
I love that feature. I totally
Yeah.
love that feature.
So here's something that I don't know whether I like it or not. So we're coming back. My daughter went with me up to Edmonton to pick this thing up, and we're driving back. So there's 2 little towns, Fox Creek and Whitecourt, and it's about let's say an hour and 45 minutes in between these two, and it's nothing but highway. So playing with all the buttons on this thing, so I set up the lane control and this auto drive and everything, and it's like, okay, let's see what happens. Take your hands just slightly off the wheel. I almost didn't have to touch that steering wheel for about an hour and a half. That thing drove itself down the road. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm quite there to let
James,
the damn
I've
vehicle
ridden with
drive
you.
me
That's
along.
a good feature for you.
So,
That's a good feature.
that must be an inside joke.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm totally
but
kidding.
yeah, it's kind of. I'll be honest. It was a little. It's still a little eerie. I just don't know whether I like that whole lane
Yeah,
control or what.
I'm not convinced that that's a good feature on a vehicle. Charlie, I was going to go back to the heated steering wheel. Charlie was kind of laughing, and no kidding, Charlie. You know, in the winter, you get in your vehicle and you got to
Yeah.
drive like this on the steering wheel because you can't put your hand on that thing because it's way too cold, or you got to wear your big mittens or something on it.
Oh, I thought
So-
it'd be like where you put your tongue against the post and you couldn't get your hands off.
Well, I don't put my tongue on the steering wheel in the summer, so it's not a burden. But it actually saved you money. Heated seats, heated steering wheel, I do not think are a bad couple of features because that'll save you money because you're not heating your vehicle up like you used to. You used to start the vehicle, let her run for half an hour, and
Let her go.
get her nice and warm, but not now. You
So
start it up,
the
get the seat warm, get the steering wheel warm, and you're off to the races.
and away you go. So the salesman that I bought it off of is a good friend of mine, and I also shoot with them. So I mean, everybody knows that competition hand can shoot as well. So I shoot with him, and he actually took gold in Canada this year. But so we're going through all the features, and I'm like, oh, and the spare tire, and yeah, it's right here. He's like, where's my ski? And he looks at me like I'm on drugs, and it's like, what? Well, where do I put my ski?
You need to carry a ski because you never know when it's going to come in handy.
Yeah, just he looked at
Only
me
if
like I was
you're
nuts.
an idiot and you don't tighten your wheels up. That's all. Bad deal. Bad deal.
Yeah, I do have heated seats in my pickup truck. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, thinking, do I really? And then I got a truck with heated. Oh yeah, I really need that. I do need that.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's like years and years ago. I was in a guy's car and he had electric windows and electric this and electric that. And I said, well, that's all that stuff. It's gonna, it has the tendency to break down, and all that. And he told me, he says, once you get it, you'll never want to go back.
That's
there
right.
you go.
And sure enough, it's like you say, once you get all those amenities, like the heck with going back to rolling your windows down and all that, because you can push a button to roll. It's like in the truck right now, it's like all trucks should have heated mirrors and they should have electric windows so you can at least roll the opposite window down so you can see out hit the mirror. if you're backing up and stuff like that for safety's sake and all. But
So Shane was asking what happened to my bees when they were making honey in the canola, and I didn't have enough room. So I actually lost a couple hives to swarms there. I didn't get them on quick enough. So of course, as soon as your hive swarms, then you sent me back, that 10, 15 days, whatever the heck it was. They just plain and simply ran out of room. And that was nobody's fault but my own. So, and the other thing that I learned there too is they need to have drawn comb on canola. They'll bring it in so fast that they won't be able to draw the wax fast enough. So I would have been better off to put the foundation on the hives that were in the clover and the alfalfa, and give the drawn combs to the ones that were on the canola. So that was something that I learned this year. You probably see the same thing, do you, Doug?
Yeah. And the other thing, don't leave it sit around to extract like Brad can get away with.
No. I had to do two rounds this year. So I think I did end up, though, just because of my equipment, I did end up, I think there was like, I don't know, maybe six boxes, something like that, where I really had to work to get it out. And out of that, there was probably 10, 12 frames that I had to scrape and put in the melter. It just, it crystallized on me.
So James, did you see Cowan's advertisement about Nobby? You can buy that new Cowan extraction line and they'll reimburse you 100% on your ticket for Nobby.
I didn't see that. I'll have to take a look at that.
And then, of course, they also save on shipping and all that. I don't know how you're going to save on shipping. You're not going to put one of them units in the back of your car.
Oh, I've got a trailer.
Pickup truck.
I got a trailer.
I don't know. Maybe you need a trailer. Come on down there and wheel and deal, You don't want to take this back home with you, and I'll take it to my house and save you some trucking money or something.
There you go. Well, I think some of the guys down there at that conference last year were kind of surprised when I was, I think they thought I was kind of joking when I said, well, can you send it to Grand Prairie, Alberta, Canada? And they kind of laughed. And I was like, no, I'm serious. Can you send me a pallet of these up there? It worked out really good.
Pallet of what? What were you getting from them?
Well, there I bought those Pro Nukes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I thought maybe you were talking to Cowan about, I know you were talking to them about.
Well, I was talking to them, but they didn't have any line. They
didn't have nothing there. I was quite. Yeah, I think that they were. What would you say?
His exact words to me were they were shocked that there was this big, or that there was that many small to medium operations out there. Everything that Cowan did was for the large operation, the big operation.
Yeah, they're missing market opportunity there.
And that's what they had said. They were absolutely blown away with the amount of people that were there. And what the heck is Brad got on his picture there?
What that? That's a selfie from back in the day.
Brad and his tidy whities. Oh, my eyes.
You can't unsee that.
It's one of those things you just can't unsee, right?
But yeah, I think, that was the thing about Bob talking about it tonight. Or I don't know if you were, well, I see he was on there a little bit earlier before you popped in. But down where he was at that convention, it seemed to be a lot of commercial beekeepers. One thing they didn't watch, YouTube videos as far as commercial. They didn't know who Ian Stepler was, most of them. And
this is what happens if you don't know who Ian Stepler is.
So, but on the other hand, on their defense, it would be like me with the Sawmill. Do I sit here and watch Sawmill videos? No, I don't. I don't want to look at a Sawmill. I've looked at that thing all day long. So you got, I can see that part of it, you know. But I think that, and like the National Honeybee Association, they were like the rest of these organizations. They are old school. They you know, they're not YouTubers, and they haven't learned, or they're learning very quickly now, that there's this whole generation of beekeepers that are, the way they learn is YouTube.
Oh yeah.
And
Well,
there
you
is
guys know
a,
my-
you know, there is a over, well, I think Cayman has proven that fact, that there is a huge YouTube community that had been untapped, and he tapped into it and showed the world, or the United States, at least as far as these convention people, that, hey, you know, you're missing out. This is the new wave of beekeepers, and this is how you need to communicate to these folks and stuff like that.
What is
You know,
what is DCB asking me about the first time? Is he asking the first time I put bees?
no,
on?
first time you've seen Brad's photograph, I guess.
Oh,
But
that
yeah,
could-
remember, DC, James has been out of commission here for what, the last couple months. He's been in the hospital and had some operations, and then working his bees and stuff like that. So this probably is the first time you've seen Brad. This is yes, last night was the first time you've been on YouTube for quite a while.
It's been a couple months for sure. Absolutely.
Been a couple months. And all that stuff. So how's Todd doing? Make big sales last night? Yesterday, I mean.
I did pretty good. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I realized, and I was chatting with Brian at Flower Street via text today. I learned that I think for me to be successful there, and first of all, that was my first time. Never done
Never
that.
did a fair convention type thing.
Yeah. So I think creamed honey would be the way to go. Everybody sells honey around here, but they don't sell creamed honey. Everybody that came by didn't know what it was. And then they tried it, sampled it, and bought it. So
Yep.
I ran out of cinnamon. I have a couple jars of peanut butter left. I sold quite a bit of honey too, but creamed honey, I think, is what if I do it. That and hot honey, I'll do that.
Yeah, it seems to be from amongst us here on YouTube, with Brian and you and what's his name up in Pennsylvania? Carl.
Oh, Carl.
Seems that there seems to be a trending up with about a creamed honey, especially flavored, or in, flavored creamed honey being is starting to be a great demand. And I think you're getting on, I think you're coming in on the ground floor right now. I think in another 5 years, it's going to be a major thing.
Yeah.
If it keeps going. Now, for me, I would have to have, I think, a commercial kitchen in order to infuse it here and all that stuff. So that's good. I'm glad you sold a lot.
Yeah, I did.
Just looking at all the comments there too, it's amazing how many people have learned from YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have heard my story up here where I actually went and approached some of the commercial beekeepers, and they wanted to have nothing to do with me. I was going to be a competitor, and that's the last thing they wanted to do. Brad made the mistake. He answered my email.
Yeah, talk about regret.
Yeah, but it's even for me. I mean, I've been at this YouTube thing. It'll be a year this coming January, New Year's Eve, as far as me being on my own StreamYard program. And
I remember I joined you on that one, Charlie. That was a long one we went to.
That was 6 hours.
Yeah.
We did it, we went 6 hours. That way, I think Brad from out there in Colorado, everybody in the different time zones it could be celebrate Happy New Year type of thing. But what I was getting at is the camaraderie that I've gained here I got 3 Canadian beekeepers that are all successful and either sideline or commercial. And then I've got Todd here who's on the West Coast. And there's a whole slew of beekeepers here on the chat that are from the West Coast to the East Coast. And we're all good friends. And a lot of us have met at Hive Life and hopefully in Kentucky this coming January. And I think it's something that is beneficial for everybody, as far as learning and how to do things and talking about, as Bob would call it, bee economics. I mean, like I say, what I just said here about the creamed honey, I think it's an old idea coming new again. And I think that, we're on the beginnings of it for everybody who's jumping into it. I haven't got into it yet. I'm interested in it and all. And that's why Brian has sent me some creamed honey and Carl's supposed to be sending some cream honey. I'm taking that to my bee club tasting thing in February of next year. And like James, I had your honey. I mean, I had a lot of different types of honey last year at the tasting. I thought it was kind of a meeting that's like, it ain't going to take off. Well, actually, we had a grand time with that club meeting. And I had about a half a dozen to a dozen honeys from all over the country that people could taste. And it was, quite a eye opener for them to be able to taste all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool and all. But I think I think Cayman was on a sort of a live chat or webinar, I guess it was. It was kind of like bringing the new beekeeper, the YouTube beekeeper in, and he had the old regime coming in and saying, hey, we got to get together here on this because, this is how the new learning platform is out here and stuff. So it's been quite nice and everything. And the videos, I've been doing that. It's been fun doing them too. Trying to keep up with different ideas to do what we need to do. But a lot of it for me is watching other beekeepers. And for me, you can talk about it, but if I see it, then I understand it better and all that kind of stuff, how techniques and things. So what else is new, Todd? Anything else?
No, except it's going to be 80 degrees, I think, on Sunday.
Really?
Yeah. I'll probably equalize with what honey I have left out there a couple of weeks. There's still some stuff they could get here and there. So that's about it. It's slowed down a lot. I've already, I've got everything I need to do done out there. And that's it. Just kind of sit and wait.
Even though it's 80 degrees, it really
Yeah. But
I mean, what about like Varroa checks? Have you been doing any of that kind of stuff since it's warm?
No, I'm going to be doing some of that tomorrow and see where I'm at. So we'll see how that goes.
And I guess the honey that was on the hives, you just left it on there?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I have not spent any money on sugar this year. So
well, that's what I say. There's your plus side.
Yeah.
You've saved money.
Yeah.
You might not made money off the honey, but you've saved money.
Yeah. So that's good. And I'm on the lookout for light colored honey because I'm going to be making some creamed honey over the winter with lighter colors so I could get my lemon out there. I have amber honey right now. And if for some reason, when I whip mine up or mix it up, it doesn't go white. It stays kind of like a light peanut butter color. So it'd be weird if I flavored it with lemon. It wouldn't look right, So
right.
I have to find something that's light.
So to DCBs, all the comments are that he's got in there. One thing I can say is, don't let the big commercial guys that snub you give you a hard time. They do all come around eventually, and they do pay well when they do.
Yeah, because I think you kind of showed them up on bee skills and everything else, especially your bees, those beautiful patterns that they've laying and all. And then what about, do you ever get that guy's taught on about, he was complaining about his bees not bringing in much honey off the canola, and yours was bumper crop, but he had mite load out, way off the charts.
So he started treating after that, believe it or not. He this fall he did mite treatments for the first time ever. He actually came over, got a hold of me, and asked for a little bit of guidance there. Now, because he had never treated anything before, and he didn't have any of the equipment, the easiest for him to go was the Apivar strips. So he went and put strips in them this year, and we actually put a couple sticky boards in underneath. His mite count was through the roof.
Well, I mean, you were talking about where you did a wash at his apiary.
He was almost 100%. I put the, I think I used 3/4 of a cup of bees, so probably a little more than I should have. But the mites that came off there, I couldn't see the bottom of the cup.
Is full.
It was right. It was like 3/4 full of mites.
How did his bees ever even survive? I mean, they should have been dead.
Well, that's probably why they weren't doing very good. But the problem with that, now each beekeeper to their own. I mean, however they want to do it. But the problem is, I had bees probably within about 5 miles of him. I'm never going to be mite free, with some of the guys that use that kind of a management technique. So, but we put a couple of sticky papers in the bottom, and he was taking a look, and I think he's going to be in much better shape in the spring.
So has he become a more positive friend of a beekeeper?
Well, I guess we talk regularly. I mean, he phones me every couple of weeks, throughout the year. I haven't heard from him now in probably, I'm going to say 3-4 weeks. But it's nice to see some of these. How do I put this? I don't want to say traditional. It's nice to see some of these traditional beekeepers starting to take a look at some of the science that's out there now, and.
Yeah, I find that quite amazing that, you guys talk about, and Ian, the science guy that you guys follow, the retired fellow, all the information that man has come about, and Lloyd, and that kind of information. And then we've all know we have mites for the last 30 plus years. How do they, they don't know anything about it, or they just want to turn a blind eye to it? That's what gets me. I mean, it sounds like they sound like a first year beekeeper that doesn't want to hear it. You
got to remember, he's been keeping bees for a long time, right? And he's never had to do that before. And there's a lot of beekeepers out there, traditional beekeepers, that are probably way better at a lot of this stuff than we are. Definitely probably better than I am. But I always use the saying. I use the saying at work too. You don't know what you don't know, right? If you don't know that this is the problem, you have no idea to look for it. So, good, bad. I'm just glad that that he's realized that there's an issue there, and that he's starting to treat the bees now, and he's going to be a better beekeeper for it. My bees that are 5 miles away are going to be better off for it. The industry is going to be better off for it, and that's where, like I said, everybody just needs to help each other out. Sometimes it's hard to. You don't want to provide or give advice when it's not wanted. That never goes over well. But at the same token, you have to be willing to accept advice when you don't know you need it either.
Right. But I don't know. It's like when I first started out, I mean, we knew about Varroa mites, and the information out there was, as I call it, we were grasping at straws, trying to figure out anything and everything that we could get to help our bees overcome the mites. When they talked about, all the corn pollen or whatever it was killing our bees, and the soybeans and all this kind of stuff, and then we were talking about the where the bees were dying off, and hunters. So we really didn't understand what was going on. It really was just boiled down to mites. But our science community at that time, up until Sammy Ramsey, they didn't realize how detrimental the mites were. As far as it used to be. Well, if you have 12 mites or whatever per shake, a sugar shake, that's okay. Well, now we're down to the point where it's 1% infestation is the bear. We want to stay there. Not if it's 2%. Oh, you better be treating, or at least thinking about it.
Yeah,
3% for sure.
Well, there's still things that I encounter all the time. I mean, I've probably questioned you up on half a dozen things, if not more, eh, Brad? What the hell is this? How does that come about? And the one thing that I can tell you is I definitely do not know everything about bees. I definitely have a whole lot more to learn. But the one thing I do know is if my bees are producing, I need to start asking some questions. And a community like this is perfect because, I could ask a question out there, and what do we got? We got 45 people watching. So, if I needed to ask a question, I got 45 people that are willing to help find me an answer. And that's part of what this YouTube, or the power of what this YouTube can do, is it
exactly.
I don't have to know it all. I just have to know somebody who knows the solution to the problem I'm having, and there's going to be a ton of them. It's like
Darren was saying back, it's true. Back when I started, you treated in September and you did one treatment and you're done. Well, now they're talking, I'm doing at least 3 different types of treatments. And when Sammy Ramsey came on the mite treatment thing, that was his first thing when I first hired him to come at our club and he was writing his thesis in our parking lot at the time. He said, he told us, he said, y'all treated in September and your bees died in March. And we said, yeah. And he said, well, you all treated too late in the year. Your bees were sick before they ever hit the winter. And he was right. Now we start treating in July and continue on. And I've gotten to the point where I just treat from the only months I don't treat are March, April, May, and June.
Yeah.
The rest of the time I'm treating throughout the rest of the year, and it seems to be effective.
Well, the hives that I treated this year with oxalic acid, I hit them every 7 days, and I think I did 5 treatments. So for 5 weeks, the ones that I treated with oxalic acid, I hit them 5 times, and significantly saw a mite drop each time. So I've now got that data as to where they're at. I've got the data on the apivar strips. I've also got data on some. I got 25 hives that I didn't treat. We're going to see what's going to happen and come out of these things. Am I going to lose them? I might. I'm going to see what happens with the treatment in the barn on them too, though. So we're going to see where we're at. But
yeah,
I've got some controls on each one. I've got, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to understand what I did last year to end up with bees so strong out of the bee barn, because I really don't have a really good grasp as to how I did it.
Well, I mean, that's good citizen science, and you're a person I know that is very thorough when it comes to tracking and data and stuff like that. So what your findings will be, I consider, quite accurate. and usable and everything. And, and maybe something you might find will interest a science person in your community or in your area. As far as I know, you guys have different types of bee labs and stuff up there that, this is what you found. And then they try to recreate your experiment, I guess you would call it, and stuff like that.
Yeah, actually, I dropped off some of those pucks at the gentleman's place that works out at the Beaver Lodge Research Center there today. So we'll see what comes out of them.
Yeah. So,
Charlie, you're talking about mites and the way kind of things seem to have to really evolve from what we've been doing, and I think that's been going on for the last 30 years, as I understand it. I put a link in the private chat there. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's a guy who did a talk at the National Honey Show. That's a really good show, and some of the best speakers I've seen come out of that National Honey Show. And he talks about a number of different cultural controls for Varroa, and there's a lot of that's not really very practical for one person running 200 colonies. But if you've got a handful of colonies, or well, I don't know how many, but I think there's a lot of really good information there. And even if some of those methods aren't practical, I think it's very educational as far as how the mites can be controlled without chemicals, without either synthetic or organic chemicals. So I felt that was a really good video when I watched it. Some very interesting information.
Sort of a won't say non-treatment, but more organic style treatments, you might say, in a way.
Yeah, and like I say, I think they call it cultural control. And what did he call it? It was a sustainable Varroa management is the title of his talk. And actually, I revisited his videos because I was actually watching a Randy Oliver video, and he actually referenced this fellow in his presentation, and I thought, oh, okay, that's that Ralph guy that I was watching. So I revisited his videos at that time. I found they're pretty helpful.
Right.
One of the things he talked about was there's a lot of different talk about brood breaks, and about removing the queen or caging the queen, and he talks about different methods for doing that. And one of the methods that he talks about, and James, this you have a hand in this, and as far as my experience with it, is essentially removing the brood from the hive, and that's one of his controls. And so he just and you think, oh no, don't do that. But it actually doesn't have a crazy negative effect on the hive.
Not over a certain period of time, for sure.
Yeah, not over time, for sure. And it's the perfect brood break, right? So all of those mites that are in the cells, now you've taken those out, and the mites that are left are largely going to starve because they've got no brood. So that was an interesting exercise that I'm glad James talked me into doing. I only did 2 hives, but it was interesting to watch them.
And they caught up, did they not?
Pretty much, yeah.
How was the honey off of those 2?
Oh, you're going to ask me that. I think they did lag, but I don't think it was because of what I did. I think it was just because they were sick.
Oh, okay.
And maybe just because of who they were. It was a very small sample size. There's only 2 of them. Right. So who knows? I may do a larger scale experiment on that next year.
Well, it's also like the most recent study in DC was talking about it there in the comment about now they're looking, at drones, where most of your mites are going on to that. And, how the effect of either removing that kind of stuff or whatever helps out the situation. Well, we've been going for 2.5.
you want to answer Darren's question. He asked, "What did you do with the brood when you removed it?" Well, yeah, I didn't destroy it. I actually just distributed it to the other colonies because they weren't part of the experiment. So I didn't want to lose it altogether. I just took it out of those. I actually replaced everything. I took everything away from those colonies. Just in short, I removed the box. I put a replacement box. I filled it with 10 frames of nice, fresh, drawn honeycomb. And I took all of the bees and the queen from the box I had removed, and I shook them into that box. So basically, I shook a package, right? So that's exactly what I did. The only difference is my queen was already introduced. She wasn't caged. So that's exactly what I did. I shook a package. And then I fed them because obviously I had taken all their resources away. So I gave them a patty, and I gave them a jar or a pail, and fed them. And they did well. They did well. I can't complain.
Yep. Well, it's been 2.5 hours. I'm going to go ahead and shut the stream down, and we'll all see you next week. Same time, same place, same
Good
channel.
night, everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.